How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be taking a look at this extremely interesting phenomenon which says that inflation keeps on easing, yet prices still keep on going up and up. So what's the deal here? Let's see what this news article says.
Well, the inflation rate continues to ease down to its lowest level since the end of 2021, but it's still pretty high. Prices were up 6% in the 12 months to June. That's compared to 7.2% for the same time last year and 6.7% in the March quarter.
So the inflation level has gone down from around the 7% down to 6%, which is 1% decrease. Of course, the Reserve Bank has the target of getting inflation down to 1 to 3%. So at the moment, it's still extremely high, but look, it's on the way down. So let's see what happens.
Falling transport costs contributed to the slowdown, with international airfares dropping nearly 12% and petrol 1.5%. But food prices continue to soar. Veggies are up 23.3%, meat, poultry and fish up 11%.
23.3%. Holy moly. Like, honestly, vegetables are so expensive these days. Today I just went to the supermarket and found that one bowl of lettuce costs $6. Holy moly.
And grocery prices like milk and cheese up 12.8%.
Also, I didn't really realize that airplane tickets are down by so much, because all that I've seen is that for domestic travel, air flights have been just extremely expensive at the moment.
Here is Alexa Cook with more.
People are fed up with food prices.
The price of food is too damn high.
Protesting around the country today, angry at supermarkets' huge profits.
I'm not really sure how exactly protesting outside a supermarket can actually do, because you're not actually going into the right people to lodge your complaints. So if anything, you'd be better off setting up some sort of system to kind of systematically boycott the supermarket itself. Because let's face it, the only thing that I really care about is the final profit. So if you can find some way to actually hit their budget and final profit, there should be more response from them.
People over profit. People over profit.
We already had people struggling before inflation, before the cost of living crisis. Things have only gotten worse, and there's no end in sight.
A feeling shared by many.
As a student, I'm feeling it every day. Every time I go to the supermarket, it's just more expensive.
Everything's gone up. Everything.
Especially fruit and veggies, it's ridiculous.
You do a lot of sums in your head.
And they're still rising. Although inflation is coming down, that only reduces the size of price hikes. It doesn't lower current costs.
Instead of turning up at the supermarket and seeing things rising by $2 at a time, maybe it'll only be $1 and then 50 cents, and then getting back to the sort of more normal rates of increase.
Inflation.
Let's remember that inflation is pretty much a one-way street. Once prices start going up, it's pretty much impossible for any price to go down. So yeah, so inflation, much like entropy, which basically is the physics term of things becoming more and more chaotic, inflation is also a one-way street. There's your physics reference there.
Inflation peaked last year at 7.2%. Now it's back down to 6%, still well above the target range of between 1 and 3%. Economists are warning it's too soon to say if the Reserve Bank is starting to get inflation under control.
Honestly, I do not think that the Reserve Bank has really gotten inflation under control. It's simply it's simply too short of a time between the peak of inflation to current. So there's no way that they definitely have it under control.
Not entirely out of the woods. The prices are still rising faster than they have done over the past 3 decades, and so consumers still having to grapple with those pressures there.
It's good that the trajectory of inflation is going down, but it's still too high, and New Zealanders are experiencing the pressure of that and the prices that they pay.
What exactly is he going to do about it? Like, this is what's so frustrating with all of these people that are sitting parliament and stuff. Like, they love talking about things that everyone already knows, and there is absolutely no way that anyone's actually doing anything about it. Look, my vote would go to someone that would actually be doing things instead of just talking about these things.
Prices some are arguing the government could be helping with. The protesters want more government action addressing supermarket profits. They're calling for either an increase in the corporate tax rate or the introduction of an excess profits tax.
It's time to put the profits back into the people.
The government considered those taxes for the banking sector, but for supermarket profits, it's relying on reforms.
I love it when they say government has considered leveraging taxes on excess profits. Look, considering means absolutely nothing. Like, I consider a lot of things. I considered going overseas and just live overseas for ages. But look, a lot of things you can think about it, but it's just not going to happen.
We've made sure that the supermarkets are on notice to open up the wholesale end of what they do to make sure that there can be more competition, which will drive prices down.
The growing grocery bill isn't the only thing putting pressure on households. Infometrics say the official cash rate is expected to stay put, so higher interest rates are unlikely to budge.
Those are not going to be coming down anytime soon.
Just like food prices.
Basically, all that it's saying is that we're stuck with these high food prices. Look, inflation is a one-way street. Once it goes up, it's not going to come back down again.
So, Alexa, when are we going to get inflation under control?
Well, not anytime soon. The Reserve Bank and Treasury are predicting it won't be until the end of next year, and economists think it'll take a little bit longer. They say perhaps early 2025 before we start seeing inflation being shoved back in its box.
2025.
Now, today's figures are promising. They show the slow sort of easing on our economy, but there is a lot of work to go before we get back to normal, and that's because of these sticky underlying price pressures on things like our housing and our building costs. It means that we won't be seeing any cuts to our official cash rate for a while, and experts say that's because the Reserve Bank wants more time and more evidence to see that it's working, because squeezing the excess inflation out of our economy is proving to be a pretty tough uphill slog.
Everything about it is, I want more time. What the Reserve Bank is saying is they need more time to look, they need more time to observe what happens. You could be as careful as you want. It doesn't change what is happening. Like, the prices are high. The prices are not going to go down. It's basically like when it was saying that, not inflation, recession. Recession only gets announced somewhere when you're actually really deep into a particular recession. So by the time these institutions actually announce that there is a recession, the recession is already well underway, and quite often it's close to the turning point where recession is starting to come back. So by the time they actually be like, okay, we have seen enough evidence and support for this inflation, the inflation is already going to be way, way out of control. And look, everything that they have been doing and been over the past couple of years have been completely reactionary. And again, this is something that we have to live with.